Hello everyone and welcome to the bonus episode of EarthBound. Yes, today we're going to be covering a lot of stuff that wasn't covered in the playthrough, so I would first off just like to say thank you to the cutting room floor who pretty much provide all of the information that is going into this video. So starting out with unused graphics, Pooh has an unused jumping one. Cool. Everdred also has a ghost sprite, which seems to suggest that he was supposed to be a temporary party member at some point. Some people like to theorize that he was meant to be a permanent one, and there were supposed to be 5 of you, but I don't see that happening. But yeah, this further supports claims of Everdred potentially dying. It might have been used to be as a representation of his soul flying up in his supposed death scene, who knows. King also has climbing sprites, which seems to suggest that either Wynette's Meteor Hill was redesigned, or King was supposed to be a more permanent party member. Now, since there are no sleeping sprites for the other characters, these were probably meant to be used in special sequences early in the game. These two sleeping sprites for Ness, possibly waking up from Paula's psychic calls. Alternatively, they may have been intended to be asleep when he first arrived in Magicant, and he's completely naked except for his cap in that sequence, so this seems to support that sort of claim. This graphic is also present, which is found in the files of the Japanese version. It's just an X and a rectangle. The American versions replaced it with this sprite of Ness's mom for some reason, seems to be sitting down. There's also sprites of Ness and Paula sitting. This is a sprite that Jackie would have if you talk to him from above, which is impossible during normal gameplay, so completely unused. There's a capsule that looks exactly like the one containing Starman Jr. in EarthBound Beginnings. This is found among the enemy out-of-battle sprites, so it's probably supposed to be used as an alternative to the odd octahedrons used to represent enemies in the last areas of the game. This one's probably just an asset they put in there in case they needed one, but it turned out they didn't. This poo-poo one, a fart noise, is the sound that the Mr. Saturns make in Japanese, so this sprite was likely meant to appear in Saturn Valley. Here are sprites of Ness posing for a tiny photographer, which was definitely meant for the Lost Underworld. A tiny Escargot Express guy, also clearly meant for that. A flag, probably meant to be used as a decoration somewhere, though it doesn't seem to appear anywhere in the final game. A beating heart, maybe some romantic sequences were planned. A Sanchez brother cheering, meant for when you won something in the slot machine game. This one's partially unused. In Wynette, Frank's steam-powered robot, the Frankenstein Mark II, is partially obscured by a tree in the field. When you defeat it, it disappears from the spot it was behind the tree, thus rendering about half of its overworld sprite unused, so this is the full sprite. Difficult to see, the eels are almost never seen outside of the water in deep darkness. King is a puppy, as seen in the cutscene before going to Magicant. The problem is Puppy King never moves up or down, so you never get to see some of these sprites. This small bird thing is just never seen. I don't know what happened to it. Some unused Venus sprites. An unused bus driver sprite from facing to the left. A box that seems to be more reminiscent of the artwork for EarthBound Beginnings. It seems like it could have been maybe like a donations box for something maybe you could do. And an unused sprite of Pooh's master, which you cannot talk to from above at any point without hacking, so you never get to see it. This crooked cop enemy, which is more directly translated to dirty cop, is identical to Captain Strong in every way but name. It is an earlier version of him, it seems, and it's also just an unused enemy. In terms of unused items, there is the video relaxant, which just gives you the prompt, "What the hey is this?" when you check the help option. In terms of temporary goods, unlike the video relaxant, the temporary goods has a clear description, a key given to you by a maid who works at the Montoli building, indicating that Electro was supposed to give you a key in exchange for the yogurt dispenser, and this would have unlocked the second elevator, which is inaccessible beforehand, to access the path that leads to Montoli himself. In-game, however, the second elevator is just unlocked by giving her the yogurt dispenser. Putting the item in your inventory before going into the building does nothing, and no other unused text correlates to it. Here are some neat screens that you can only see when being, intercepted by region protection and SRAM checks. These types of screens are rather commonplace in terms of checking for piracy. EarthBound is better known for its other piracy checks, which will cause several enemies to spawn. You can actually check if you're if you're using a ROM or something, if it's not bypassing this check by going to 1net after defeating the sharks, and if there's tons of crows that when you enter a battle with them give you a glitch screen, that's how you know. But yep, they just decide to make the game unfun for you, which is hilarious. And during the final boss, the game will freeze after one of Porky's dialogues and will just crash, and when you reset it, your game data will be completely gone, which I think is hilarious and evil. Normally, when battling the clumsy robot, you have already helped out the Runaway 5 with their debt. At the end of the clumsy robot battle, they appear and end the fight. With the assistance of the Walking Through Walls cheat, you can bypass the required event of helping the Runaway 5 and see an alternate ending. The clumsy robot spews out smoke, causing the party to end up becoming overwhelmed by it. The game then teleports them outside the Montoli building. From Mother 1+2 onward, Mother 2 received minor text changes across various revisions. Most of these changes were made to comply with Zero. Porky's mom originally referred to Buzz Buzz as the pesky toilet fly. The word toilet was removed in future releases. A sign in 1net's hospital originally advertises a gravestone burial sale for people that pass away in the hospital. In future releases, the sign states that the hospital is not holding this. After Paula is rescued, a boy in Tucson originally states that Paula kicked her kidnapped in the balls. Balls was changed to vital spot in future releases, or to crotch in the virtual release in Japan. A sign in 3 originally states the players should take a break every 2 hours. In future releases, this was changed to 1 hour. However, Ness's father still calls out every 2 hours. When an announcer introduces Venus in Four Sides Theater, he originally says, "Sing and kill me." In future releases, it was changed to "Sing and love me." When Tony asks for the player's name, he originally refers to the one holding the controller. In future releases, he refers to the one playing the game instead. A man in Scaraba originally states that Porky crapped on the ground. In future releases, this was changed to "did his business," and a similar change was also made in EarthBound. When Master Barf challenges the party, he originally says, "Get covered in puke and die." In Mother 1+2 and the Super Smash Bros. Brawl demo, this was changed to "Suffer until you vomit." The Virtual Console release changed this to "Get covered in me and suffer." Originally, the Hitman in Summers accidentally refers to the Stoic Club as a strip club. In future releases, strip was changed to strit --. Changes made in most revisions include a mole in 1net originally explains that the TV screen will change colors when you touch an enemy. In Mother 1+2, the word TV is removed, while the Virtual Console releases also modify the line. After Ness defeats the punks in 1net, the mayor originally states that Ness spit on the bullies and made them wet their pants. This part of the mayor's dialogue was removed in Mother 1+2, and the line was further modified in Virtual Console releases. And a vendor in Tucson's park originally states that the flies swarm on his goods, giving them nice flavor. In Mother 1+2, he simply states that his food attracts flies, while the Virtual Console releases states that his goods flavor attracts flies. And finally, changes only made in Mother 1+2 include a librarian in 1net originally explains that the town map can be pulled up with the X button, which was changed to the Start button instead. 2 typos were corrected, and originally a newspaper headline in 3 mistakenly says that the zombies have left Tucson instead of Threed. This was fixed in Mother 1+2. Sure, Mother 1+2 fixes a couple things, but Mother 1+2 has a lot of glitches in its own right. If you have an exit mouse when you go to the Cave of the Past, entering Gygas's room, you can actually use it to leave and return to the world. It's a great video, and I recommend checking out the full thing here, but basically you can see that characters are already in their spots for their prayer sequences during the final battle. The GBA ports of the game are infamously buggy, and I would not recommend experiencing the game this way, especially if it's your first time, because it also compresses the audio and it sounds awful. Both the Wii U Virtual Console and SNES Classic re-releases of Mother 2 and EarthBound add a blur effect to several of the flashier PSI animations, such as PK Rockin'. Now, this was a standard policy for Virtual Console games, with the idea being to reduce the risk of causing seizures. Because the blur effect is applied in real time, it does, however, have the peculiar side effect of the game blurring whenever any rapid full-screen animations occur, such as when taking mortal damage or using PK Teleport, or not appearing when it reasonably should. In the SNES Classic version of the game, the flashes before the car painter battle and during the robot surgery were also toned down. Also, remember that shattered man we never defeated in Summers? If you go to it now and lose to it, it causes the game to really bug out. It can be further detailed in a video I'll be linking in the description, which can also explain the mole playing rough in various locations. It's very interesting, I'd recommend checking it out. Here's some footage of the glitch in action. In terms of some aesthetic things, there is some concept art from the game that is very interesting to look at. I really like this one of Mr. Saturn Valley, and some of the other ones are also really interesting. Something I never mentioned is that Ness and Paula got character redesigns when coming over to the States, which I didn't realize initially, but looking back, yeah, they are in a completely different style from Jeff and Boo, who did not get redesigns, which I just think is funny. Now believe me, there is so much more I could talk about this game. New things are still being found out about it pretty regularly. But for simplicity's sake, I am going to end this video here. In the future, I might make another bonus video discussing more of the things, but there are other great videos describing those, so I hope you'll check out the ones I linked in the description, as well as an abridged version of Clyde Mandelin's fantastic book, Legends of Localization, EarthBound, which has a lot of great information in it and is very comprehensive. I said a lot of it during the playthrough, but there is so much more to read. It's a great way to spend an afternoon. Linked in the description. Please check it out. Thank you all so much for watching this series, and I hope you'll join me on more Mother videos in the future. Goodbye, and thanks for joining me on this adventure. Also, for some reason, there's one picture of Ness naked from the Japanese version in the English strategy guide.